Welcome to the Professor's Corner, the podcast for parents and community leaders who understand that education begins at home. I believe parents shouldn't rely solely on the school system to educate their children. It's time to take the lead. All right. Professor's Corner is brought to you by Creative Design Innovations, DeToya. The owner can transform your space into ease and elegance. If you want your home, office, or personal space to be truly reflect your vision, please visit creativedesigns.innovations.com. Today, we're digging deep into a powerful topic: the real lives of men in the classroom. Not just any men, but Black men who are breaking barriers, facing challenges head on, and changing lives in real time. Today, my guest is Mr. Ki-Jana Garmom, a dedicated, passionate Black male educator who not only teaches in the classroom, but mentoring, fathering, and fighting for the next generations. Welcome, Mr. Garmom. Dude, thank you so much for joining us today. And I would like for you to, Mr. Garmom, to take us back to your childhood, to when you were a youth in the American public school system. What did male teachers look like to you?
Thinking back to when I was in the classroom, male teachers looked like an imagination.
Okay.
I did not. I actually did not have a lot of male teachers. I want to say I remember having maybe a couple of substitutes,
Uh-huh.
some long-term substitutes, but it wasn't until I got about 15 years old I actually put myself into a program. It was a college reach out program where I had my mentor, who was the director of the program, Mr. Smith, and his whole mission was preparing students for college. It was taking us from high school to college, and at that time that was a huge eye opener for me. He was the man of Omega Psi Phi. And he took us out on a college trip to Louisiana, where we toured a couple of colleges, and that was my first real experience with seeing that. I can go to school. I met a couple of bros on LSU campus. I said, "What do y'all boys play?" Because I played football. I'm expecting basketball, baseball, something. They said, "Man, we just go to school," and that blew my mind at 15 years old. And at that point, I said, "You know what? I think this is something that I want to do. I want to be able to." One, say that I'm just a scholar. I'm an educated man, and I wanted to let those who look like me know that you too can get education. You can educate yourself. You can do it. So that was a biggest effect that male educators had on me. Just when I first was exposed to it at 15, changed my life.
When did you realize, because becoming a teacher and actually being a teacher, you're going to have a realization that teaching more than just the content. When you realize at that particular moment, you're going to be doing more than just teaching the content. When did you realize that? What experience brought that about?
It was almost immediately. Almost immediately. I will tell you, it wasn't at that point when I decided that, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. It was more so I'm going to take my education serious.
Okay.
And once I noticed the many hindrances that kept me from succeeding as a youth, I began to just take note. Growing, because I was fit from the age of 15 to, I'll say, 19. It was pure education. It went from being a student in high school. Once I got into college, I began to mentor young young men in the Tallahassee area. I did go to FAMU, go to A&M University up there in Tallahassee. So during my time mentoring out there at various middle schools, high schools, and parks, it was extremely evident. Almost all of the men that are the almost all of the young men who I had the pleasure of mentoring, I saw a piece of myself in each and every one of them. And it was one young man in particular who I actually came to foster an outstanding relationship with him. He was having a lot of troubles in his school. It was by his second time being a seventh grader, and he was just lacking motivation. And I was able to get that up out of him, after a couple of weeks of us meeting. And I know he had gang ties, and street life is no stranger to me. So I understand that it's not as easy to just walk away. But I was able
Yes.
to recognize, the tightrope that he was walking on, and that was where our the foundation of our relationship was built on. And it wasn't until about, I'll say, the second month of us meeting, I came to school, as I did every Wednesday. I say, I'm here to pick up my boy, and the school informed me that he was expelled. And that was
Okay.
at that point. That was my sophomore year in college, and I was broken. I mean, broken. And at that point, that's when I knew, okay, this is something that cannot just be a hobby. This is
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
this is gonna be a lifestyle of mine to reach our youth, because we a
I,
lot of we get left behind too easy. So
yes.
yeah, it was at that moment. It was at that moment when I knew that it would be a complete lifestyle for me.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I do understand what you're saying, especially when you said it's not that easy just to break away from it. The fact that you're even trying to reach a young person to try to get him to see there's another life other than what's happening in the streets at that particular age. As an adult, I've seen men still in their 20s and 30s being tied to the street life. And you think at some point, when do you get away from that? I'm the only girl for 26 years on my father's side before there was another girl born. So I grew up with the fellas. I always say I grew up with my skirts and heels on, because everywhere my brothers went, they had to protect me. So where I went, I was with them or they was with them. And as I kind of watched the dynamics of the different men I was around, I was surprised later on in life when I learned that some men got past 20s and 30s still tied to uh that life. That's just what I'm gonna say right there, because it could still be, yeah, hey, it could still be, it could be something, to still be tied to it. And I did not understand that you could still be tied at that age. I thought, that's something, once you reach your 30s, it's kind of like you way past certain stuff. But unfortunately, I'm learning, and I'm glad to hear that that's what you're doing. Now, let me ask you this question. Outside of the classroom, what are you doing that supports and connects with your role as a teacher?
Outside of the classroom, number one, I'm also a director of an after school program as well, where I'm able to not be tied down to a curriculum, where we can focus more on the social and emotional learning aspect of it, where we're able to put them in a position of inevitable conflicts. And I have a group of young men that I meet with at the YMCA, and oftentimes we'll find conflict, and my mission for them is how we're going to resolve this. How can we learn to fight with our words? It was a lesson I learned from my dad at a young age. Seeing that I was getting ready to get into it with the young man, and we sat down, and he made us literally have a fight with our words. And that's something that I try to instill in our young men, and young men that I have the opportunity to mentor, or even just come into contact with. I'll tell you the truth. I'm the type of guy, I'll walk in Dollar General and see a young man or a young person, and spark a conversation, just to let them know that I see you. And
Amen.
in that
Yes.
we'll have a true, genuine conversation, just to recognize that everything doesn't have to be hostile. When it comes to my young man, and when they face conflict, I ensure that they understand that there is going to be times where you're going to be disrespected, and you don't
Yes.
want to allow a feeling to determine the rest of your life. And when it comes to facing and dealing with those moments of conflict, who are you in that moment? You know, you're more than just your fist. You're more than just what you have on your hip. You know, you got something that you can fight with.
Yes.
That doesn't have to always end in a long night or
Gun violence.
yeah,
Fighting.
yeah,
Yes.
and fighting, gun violence, or anything like that. So that's my one of my avenues. Additional, I'm also a independent filmmaker as well, and a music artist as well. And in my art, everything is political. Everything talks about the realities that we face. Uh, sometimes it'll be in a comedic aspect, but
Yes.
oftentimes it'll always have dramatic undertones of just the reality of what we face, and oftentimes
Yes.
it will just depict what is, and through my whether it be my a story of a protagonist or a song, whatever story I'm telling, I often try to just to show either the duality of what could be done, what when it comes to what we're used to. You know, somebody disrespect, somebody try me. I'm about to get that piece. I'm about to get that iron. We gonna take it there, and I'm gonna let it be known I ain't the one to be messed with. Or I'm gonna take it this way. I am a man of God. I am a man of God. So I foundation everything in that as well. So or I can find a peaceful way to resolve this matter. You know, I don't always have to prove my point. I don't always have to make sure somebody knows I'm not the one to be messed with. I can let somebody be wrong about me. That's okay. You know what? Because I know who I am. I
Yes.
have knowledge of self.
Exactly.
That's the whole mission.
Oh.
Teaching and educating the youth on knowledge of self, that you don't have to get it or attain it from nowhere outside of you.
Exactly. Oh. That's very powerful. And that brings to me your spirit, because I remember being in the school, and when I walked out into the hallway, I walked into it. And I could see the scowl on your face because you were trying to redirect a young lady in her behavior, and she was just, trying to, as they try to do, to, show the world that I'm this and I'm this and that. But is your spirit, that's my spirit, said, this young man right here, I felt grace as you were redirecting her and trying to get her to understand. And I saw how you handled this. It's just I walked into your greatness. I walked into your spirit. I walked into it, and it said, "Wow, him right there." Because as I'm going through this journey of becoming a podcaster and bringing this into the form of things I'm doing, as I pick people to come and be a part of what I'm doing, I saw something in you. When I say you are dynamic and you have it, and I'm like, this young man right here, I said, I want to talk to him. But I also want to ask you this question: how do they treat you? How do they treat the assets that you bring to the table? How are you being treated in the school system?
Well, number one, glory be to God, and I thank you so much for just for seeing, for recognizing what we're trying to do out here. But when it comes to the school system, I I'll say I lost my words.
Yeah, I understand. When I say I understand wholeheartedly.
I'll say it varies based on the environment. Um, it it's a cycle. It's a process because I'm no matter where I go. Y'all heard Jay-Z, man. I'm still a black man no matter where I'm at, and and that's something that I have had to walk with since I was a youth. I remember when I was 10 in the 10th. I had actually just transferred schools in the 11th grade. I transferred in an effort to take my school serious, take college level courses, and ensure that I would set myself up for success. And there was someone who took a picture of me walking to class and came up and showed me the picture. I was sagging my pants. I had on my little Coogee outfit. He said, "Now what you think of this person here?" And I said, "I think that's somebody minding their business." And they said to me that that looked like somebody who don't know what they doing in that, I never forgot that moment because in my mind, I know you don't know me. I'm on my way to a college level course at 16, but you only see what you see,
Right.
and I've never really gotten away from that. Um, so when I say I'm treated like a black man in an unfamiliar space,
Yes.
it is indeed it is indeed an uphill battle when facing issues in the classroom and then having to face issues, things
Mm-hmm.
that are supposed to support and build. But there are, in that same breath, I will also say that there are a number of people in the school system who has been a light of joy.
Awesome.
I definitely want to shine a light on just a lot of the support that I have received just throughout this journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some outstanding mentors, some outstanding, um, some
Mm-hmm.
outstanding educators who just took the time to recognize the mission that I was on and poured into me,
Yes.
when it
Yes.
comes to ensuring that I could be the best educator I could be, whether that be handing me off actual resources, you know, um, textbooks. I'm a huge reader, so I received a number of books that has helped me become a better educator. I have a support system of uh, few educators who I can just talk to about random issues that just come up in the classroom. But
Yes.
nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
Everything has its highs and lows, and I never like to, I never want to speak negatively about anything or anyone, simply because it doesn't always bring life. But to
True.
answer your question, it is a roller coaster. Some days it's we see what you're doing and we support what you're doing, and we want to give you what you need to get there. But then there's also the reality of this is what we're used to. This is what we expect. Um, Without the necessary support to help me reach those expectations,
Good.
and that's something that can make the job a bit harder when I'm fighting battles in the classroom and with some higher ups because of things that are just simply out of my control.
I say, being that I was the only girl, I gravitate to the men in the school system because I'm so used to being around them. So I've seen things that kind of shock my spirit. I can remember one time as a push in at another school was uh, it wasn't an academy, it was the district school, and there was a male teacher in there teaching the classroom, and he was new to our school, so I'm new to him. But I never just burst in the door. I like to just, gently go on in and, do what I have to do. And I saw a young lady who did not have on the right uniform who was threatening him that if he didn't do something, she would tell her mother this. And that kind of hurt me because our educational system has to have some form of balance. If we have just mothers at home, and then we have a school system full of women too, then they're not necessarily getting the balance that they need. And the way they're responding to some of the things I'm seeing men have to endure, then therefore they're reclined, some of them, to just, hey, I've done my part. He lasted that semester and he left. Um, I understood. I don't hold any feelings against him. And I've seen so many of our male teachers just take other routes and other avenues, but yet the females teachers stay on because for them it's a different reason why you stand. For me, I had to stay on because I had, two children I had to raise, and different other reasons that I had to kind of stay in. But I wanted to be there because of my heart and my passion for children. And I am thankful that some of the educators, even in my struggle, say, hey, I can see it. I can see it. So it's like you got to turn your mind off the other side, the administrative side, the higher up side, and just focus on the circle, the bubble that you create for you and you and the students.
I was just gonna say, and that is truly the key. That there does come a time in the school year where it's okay. I'm gonna stick to what's on my island because if I allow myself to get lost in the vastness of everything and everybody's thoughts, opinions, and false perceptions, I will I'll have to remove myself from the mission that God has set me on.
Amen.
And that's exactly the reality of what a lot of black male educators face. A lot of times there aren't enough safety nets for us to fall on when it comes to uh, just some of the things that we deal with. We work at an all girls school.
Yes.
It's no, from it's no it was no unfamiliarity to me. I have two baby sisters, three aunts, 6 to 7 great aunts on one side, and
Right.
4 great aunts on. When I tell you, I was raised by women. I cannot make this up. So I never found myself in an uncomfortable position, but I do know that I would hate for someone who does not have that level of experience. And I've been in education for almost 10 years now. So to be new in that, for someone to be new in that position, I would hate for to see how they could get caught up. I have students who I absolutely love to death, and they love me to death. I mean, they just two specifically. They come to my classroom every single day, and in their minds, they're just kids. They're just kids, but they're there's some creative ones.
Yes.
They get creative with a lot of their jokes and stuff, and a lot of times I have to let them know there are certain things that you cannot. This is unacceptable to say.
Right.
Right.
If this was to be there's a situation that comes to my mind where there was another educator who we were all in at dismissal, and they were just going back and forth yelling and, hey, Mr. G, look. I'm like, listen, this is not what it's. You know me, Mr. G. You don't get nothing past this. If you want to hug, it's a Mr. G hug.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't get two of them. But a lot
Right.
of times they would just say things, and they're thinking that it's okay to say I'll be the one to rein them in. But when it comes to someone who's unfamiliar, it's so
Exactly.
easy to remove yourself from this position because you don't want to put the perception on anyone else that just that this is acceptable behavior, that this is okay. And it's hard to um, it's hard to navigate when you don't have the just understanding of experience, man.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is truly hard to get that experience without that support. And again, I always have to go back to a couple of my past um, supervisors who actually I can't I, since being in education, I don't think I've ever had a male supervisor. It's always been female, and for the most part, black female, which I'm also thankful for. And just learning how to safely navigate the blissfulness of youth, um, while also while also ensuring that you are protecting yourself. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yes.
I mean, it's just not an easy thing to do. I know that because this is my mission. I have figured out how to properly do it while still ensuring that I have a solid rapport built up with my students. But for the average black male who just who wants to come in their mind, I just want to come in and teach. Unfortunately, there's not enough support when it comes to the some of the kids, some of the home life of our youth,
Yes.
some of the support that's offered through the school. it really can make you feel isolated and like somebody's out to get you or set you up, when in reality it's like, okay, nobody is just used to having somebody like me in this place. So I have to make sure that I am creating a space around me that can become the new normal. Like, okay, when Mr. G is here, we cannot do this, we cannot say this, or because this is disrespectful, this is unsafe for him and for me.
Exactly.
These things are something that I believe, if actually faced, if actually addressed in the proper rooms, I believe it can be, um, it can have a positive impact on the amount of black men we see in the classrooms. But oftentimes, it truly only falls on you. That's something that I have always, um, staying in conversation with God, talk to my wife about it, talk to whoever I can at the school about it, just about, all right, this is where we are, this is what we're facing, this is what we can do about it, and that's just the,
The,
I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm long winded, man.
no,
No,
you're
you're
doing
doing phenomenal.
phenomenal, and you're answering the questions far as we wanted examples and how you're dealing with the challenges. So that's what our community and our our parents need to know. Parents don't need to miss this. They need to understand that sometimes our children need more than just a system, and that for when they have you there, they need to be able to see someone that looks like them. And that's a powerful statement, Mr. Garment. So it's powerful what you're doing. They need to see, that our men in the classroom. They need to see that and to understand the value that you bring to the educational system, because there are things that you're going to see, as I say, balance, that we may not catch. You may look at it from another perspective and say, well, look at it this way. So let me ask you this question. When you approach discipline or accountability for your students, what's some of the strategies you use?
Number one, accountability. That is my first. That is the foundation of the goal. Is to get them to understand that, hey, I did something, and it's going to have a reaction. If I acted, a reaction is inevitably coming. So my approach is indeed straightforward. I'm not much of a sugarcoat type of guy or beat around the bush. I number one, address the behavior. At our, I'll use our current set of students for now. Um, I was number one, ask, what were your expectations? What were your expectations? What were you expecting when you did or said what you did? When you or said what you said or did what you did? What did you think would come from that? I give them the chance to talk talk through what they did. To really introspect and say, okay, I probably was tripping. I maybe should not have done that, or what was what I with some of our students who need a little more grace and mercy. A lot of them will say, okay, I did do this, but I don't understand why this. I said, I'm gonna stop you right there. That is what I want you to. That's what I want you to recognize. That there is something that you don't understand, and my job is to help you gain that understanding. So number one, it is a real heart to heart, mind to mind conversation. We are
Mhm.
actually going to talk about it. What were you expecting? Um, what did you think would happen? And now, how do you how do you think uh, that what impact did that action have on you?
Exactly.
Does that positively reflect who you are, or who you want to be, or who your mama sent you here to be, or so on and so forth. So that's all. That is always my number one approach, is just straight conversation, straight discussion about it. Getting into the psyche of the youth, and um, in extreme cases when that don't work, I I'm huge on rapport. I'm huge on rapport. I love to learn so that I can use those use, so say they I'm a anime nerd, so I have a couple who like that. So
Okay.
I'll sometimes use different anecdotes from things that they're interested in, whether it be anime or Barbie or just or they love the Lululemon. So so I just
Yeah.
I try to tie the grand idea of what the foundation of the issue is into whatever what we're talking about. You know, if they have a hard time understanding of how this dynamic should be, I try to make real world connections that relate to some of their interest.
Yes.
So that's always my goal is to how can I get them to number one understand that you are the master of your fate. You know,
Yes.
you are the one who has placed yourself in this position. So it is only you who you have to face. If you want to be mad at somebody, if you want to be upset with somebody, let's direct it into the right place, into the right space, so that you can have that level of accountability, so that you can um get to a point where you can introspect before you do something.
Right.
You know, so that you can think before you speak, think before you act, and um, if we find ourselves in a position again, we can learn the cycle. We can learn
Yes.
how and why do I keep finding myself in this position. Um, that's 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 that.
Okay. Okay.
Getting into that cycle.
See, this is something I'm looking for, and tell me your introspect on it. Parents and teachers working together in the community to build strong young adults.
Oh yes, I am no stranger to connecting with parents. I love a good conference. On the first day of school, camp, or anything, I always tell my students that I love meeting with parents and the student because that's when I get to see the real you.
Yes,
Not who
that's
you
so
want
true.
to be, not who you think you are. But let's get in front of your parents so you can understand that you have you have people who do expect the best of you.
Yes.
And a lot of our youth they'll find themselves, and I know I was guilty of it too coming up. You know
Yes.
that they'll be in a position they know, okay, it's just me and the rest of the world around me. Nobody else cares. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this. I can do this. I'm gonna let them know this. But then once we get all in that room, you have to talk about what you said and what you did. You have to say it to me. You have to say it to mama. You have to say it to grandma. You have to say it to Miss Buchanan. You have to say it to the principal. You have to, once
Yeah.
we are all in this room discussing, now you recognize, okay, like I don't just reflect me. It's not just me I'm representing out here. It's not just me who uh, who knows who and what I can be. You know,
Right.
that support, I've watched it go such a long way. Just with the student I spoke on previously, who was expelled. The all so, there was such a huge surprise when it came to how he was showing more interest in school during our years. I mean, during our mentorship period, and I was having a discussion with one of his with his assistant principal and one of the school secretaries who was used to seeing him up in the office, and they would say, I don't know how you can get him to talk, how you can get this up. I'm like, we just talk to him, brother. You know,
Right.
we just talk to him and we let them know that we see you. You know, we are
Hey.
here for you, and the more people that youth have in mind, that okay, if I do this, I know Mr. Smith go probably. If I do this, I know Miss Buchanan probably. I remember Mr. G said this. I remember they know that there are more cups being poured into them than just their own. You know, it's not
Yes.
just you out here. You know, you got people
Yes.
who believe in you, who support you, who want the best for you, and expect the best of you. And you know,
Exactly.
when you know better, you do better.
Amen. So when you have your students, um, it comes that time and they're, when they get older, because they get older and they do come back. What is the one thing you want or you hope that they remember about you? Because they're going to come back and they're going to tell you something. What will they say to you?
That is an excellent question. I mean, honestly, number one, if they can see how much I was sneaking the Holy Spirit into them, that'd be outstanding.
Yes.
but honestly, if they have that, if they can remember that I want them to want the best for themselves. You know, oftentimes a lot of students are just okay with mediocre. Okay, I did it. Here you go.
Right. Yes. Don't we know that one? Yes.
You hear me? Does that reflect you though?
Right. Is this what you want to take home and show your people that this is what you did?
Exactly. So if I was to be anything, I would say, just I never settled because you pushed me or you instilled a level of perseverance and endurance in me that got me through or got me to here. You know, that's the biggest thing, because that perseverance and endurance that'll get you to where you're going, no doubt.
Exactly. Okay, I want to ask you just about two more questions. Let me see here. What thing can parents do to support teachers like you? When you talking to the parents, what can they do to support you? Because sometimes they may not think you need support. You the teacher.
That's all right. We sure need that support. So number one, holding your children accountable. Yes. Accountability is the game. We love our babies, we love our scholars, but we all make mistakes, and if we do not face those mistakes, we will inevitably repeat them over and over and over. And that does indeed that sets them back. That makes it harder for us to us as educators to get them to move, to progress. Okay. So number one, hold your students accountable so that they understand that their education is in their hands. If you do not take this serious, if you do not want, you will not get it. I can't make you drink the water. I can only take you there. Mm-hmm. And that's what I need parents to do. Teach your kids to thirst, want to drink, want to learn, want to seek, want to understand. Yes. And if you don't, figure out why. So yes.
Garmom, where can people follow you to support your work inside and outside of the classroom?
So on my social media, all my social media is the same. It's my stage name, Ki-Jana Khalid, and my actual name. Okay. Ki-Jana Khalid, that's KIJANA KHALI. So yes, it's Instagram, Twitter. I don't really do much Facebook except for family stuff. Okay. Definitely.
All right, everyone, you heard it here, parents. Representation matters. Presence matters, and it's time that we take lead together. The classroom starts at home, and if you are the teacher, meaning as parents, we are teachers too, don't wait, don't depend, take the lead.
Entertainment. We turn your fear of dreaming into amazing realities. If your dream is to become a photographer, we have a nice intimate photo studio just for you. If you want to record that next hit song or do voiceover work, we have a state-of-the-art studio also for you. If you want to professionally record your own podcast, well, we have that too. Check us out at www.terradoneentertainment.com. We are the only ones to turn your fear of dreaming into amazing realities.